The Soviet Union deployed hundreds of armored vehicles during the Great Patriotic War, from the legendary T-34 to nimble scout cars and heavy assault guns. This video breaks down every important machine the Red Army threw against the Wehrmacht on the Eastern Front. Main battle tanks. T-26 light tank. Originally a licensed copy of the British Vickers 6-ton, the T-26 dominated the pre-war Soviet arsenal. Armed with a 45mm gun and thin riveted armor, it performed adequately against German light tanks in 1941, but was hopelessly outmatched by later Panzers. Its simple design meant it was produced in massive numbers, serving as a stopgap until better designs arrived. BT-7 fast tank. The revolutionary Christie suspension gave this cavalry tank exceptional road speed, reaching up to 86 km/h on wheels. Lightly armored but highly mobile, the BT-7's sloped turret and 45mm gun made it effective in the early war period. It could operate both on tracks and wheels, though crews rarely bothered switching in combat conditions. T-28 medium tank. A multi-turret design that looked impressive but proved impractical in combat. The T-28 featured a main turret with a 76mm gun plus two smaller machine gun turrets up front. While intimidating on paper, its thin armor made it vulnerable, and coordinating three separate turrets in battle was a tactical nightmare. T-35 heavy tank. The ultimate symbol of pre-war Soviet armor philosophy, this 5-turret land battleship weighed 50 tons and stretched nearly 10 meters long, armed with one 76mm gun, two 45mm guns, and multiple machine guns. It was mechanically unreliable and slow. Most broke down before ever seeing combat, making it more of a parade vehicle than a battlefield weapon. T-34-76. The tank that changed the war. The T-34 combined sloped armor, wide tracks, and a powerful 76mm gun into a revolutionary package. Its angled hull could deflect German shells that would penetrate other tanks, while its broad tracks allowed it to cross mud that swallowed Panzers. Despite cramped interiors and poor visibility, it became the most influential tank design of World War II. T-34-85. Recognizing the T-34's firepower limitations, Soviet designers fitted it with a massive 3-man turret housing an 85mm gun. This upgrade arrived in 1944 and could finally engage German Tigers and Panthers on equal terms. The larger turret improved crew efficiency dramatically, though it retained the original's excellent mobility and armor protection. KV-1 heavy tank. Named after Soviet Marshal Klement Voroshilov, this 45-ton beast terrorized German forces in 1941 with armor so thick that anti-tank guns simply bounced off. Armed with the same 76mm gun as the T-34, it was nearly invulnerable but suffered from poor reliability and a painfully slow speed. Single KV-1s famously held up entire German divisions at choke points. KV-2, a siege weapon on tracks. The KV-2 mounted a colossal 152mm howitzer in a massive box-shaped turret, designed to demolish Finnish bunkers. Its towering profile made it an easy target, and the huge turret was prone to jamming when the hull tilted. When it worked, however, a single shot could obliterate any target on the battlefield. IS-1 heavy tank. The Iosif Stalin tank arrived in late 1943 as the successor to the KV series, featuring improved armor layout and an 85mm gun. Heavier and better protected than the KV-1, it sacrificed some reliability for battlefield dominance. Production was limited, as designers were already working on its successor. IS-2. Mounting a massive 122mm gun, the IS-2 became the ultimate Soviet tank killer and bunker buster. This 46-ton heavy tank could penetrate the frontal armor of German Tigers and Panthers while remaining immune to most return fire. Its gun fired separate ammunition and projectiles, slowing the rate of fire but delivering devastating one-shot kills. IS-3. Arriving too late to see extensive combat, the IS-3's revolutionary pike-nose design influenced post-war tank development worldwide. Its thick, sharply angled armor made it nearly impossible to penetrate from the front, and its low profile concealed a 122mm gun. Western observers were shocked when it rolled through Berlin victory parades in 1945. Tank destroyers and assault guns. Su-76. Nicknamed the Bitch by its crews, this light self-propelled gun mounted a 76mm gun on a lengthened T-70 chassis. Thinly armored and open-topped, it left crews exposed to small arms fire and shell fragments. Despite crew complaints, it was cheap to produce and became the second most numerous Soviet armored vehicle of the war. Su-85. Built on the proven T-34 chassis, the Su-85 provided Soviet tank hunters with a powerful 85mm gun in a low-profile, heavily armored casemate. It could engage German Panthers and Tigers effectively from defensive positions, excelling as an ambush predator. The fixed gun required repositioning the entire vehicle to aim, limiting tactical flexibility. Su-100. The ultimate evolution of the T-34-based tank destroyer, The Su-100 packed a devastating 100mm gun capable of penetrating any German armor. Introduced in late 1944, its sloped frontal armor could withstand hits from most enemy weapons. The powerful gun and excellent mobility made it one of the most effective tank destroyers of the war. Su-122. This assault gun married the T-34 chassis with a 122mm howitzer designed for direct fire support, intended to blast fortifications and infantry positions. Its low-velocity gun struggled against heavy German tanks. It served primarily in the infantry support role, demolishing strongpoints and bunkers during offensive operations. Soldiers nicknamed it the Beast Slayer for its ability to destroy German heavy tanks with a single shot. This massive self-propelled gun mounted a 552mm howitzer on the KV-1 heavy tank chassis, creating a 45-ton bunker buster. While not designed as a tank destroyer, its huge shells could blow the turret clean off a Tiger tank. Su-152. Built on the IS heavy tank chassis, this monster combined the Beast Slayer's devastating 152mm gun with improved armor and reliability. It could demolish concrete bunkers, obliterate tanks, and level buildings with equal effectiveness. The massive recoil and slow reload made it vulnerable between shots, but nothing survived a direct hit. Su-122. Using the same IS chassis as the Su-152, this variant mounted the 122mm gun for improved accuracy and rate of fire. It served as a dedicated tank destroyer and proved highly effective against German armor in the war's final year. The lower caliber gun meant more ammunition storage and faster shooting than its 152mm sibling, Su-57. A unique vehicle created under Lend-Lease, the Su-57 mounted a Soviet 57mm anti-tank gun on an American M3 half-track chassis. Only a few dozen were built, combining American mobility with Soviet firepower. Its high-velocity gun could penetrate German armor effectively, but the open-top design left crews dangerously exposed. Self-propelled artillery, Su-5. An early experimental self-propelled artillery piece, mounting a 122mm howitzer on the T-26 light tank chassis. Only produced in small numbers, it was mechanically unreliable, and the light chassis couldn't handle the gun's recoil properly. Most were destroyed in the early war disasters of 1941. Su-12. Another failed pre-war experiment, the Su-12 attempted to mount a 122mm gun on the outdated T-28 medium tank chassis. The multi-turret tank made a poor artillery platform, and production ceased after only a handful were built. It represented the last gasp of the obsolete multi-turret tank concept. Katyusha BM-13. The legendary Stalin's organ rocket launcher, mounted on Studebaker or Zis-6 truck beds. Its 16 rockets created a terrifying screaming sound and delivered devastating saturation bombardment across wide areas. Highly mobile and quick to reload, Katyusha batteries became symbols of Soviet firepower, striking terror into German troops. BM-8 Katyusha. A lighter variant firing 82mm rockets instead of the standard 132mm, mounted on lighter truck chassis or even tanks. While less powerful than its bigger brother, it could be deployed in greater numbers and navigate rougher terrain. The psychological impact remained just as devastating to enemy morale. BM-31, Andriusha. The heavy brother of the Katyusha family, mounting 12 300mm rockets capable of demolishing fortifications. Nicknamed Andriusha, it required a heavier truck chassis and delivered absolutely apocalyptic firepower. Each rocket weighed over 90 kilograms and could level buildings with a single hit. Light tanks and tankettes. T-37 amphibious tank. A tiny two-man tankette designed for reconnaissance, the T-37 could swim across rivers using a propeller. Armed only with a single machine gun and possessing armor barely thicker than a car door, it was vulnerable to everything. Its amphibious capability made it valuable for crossing the countless rivers of the Eastern Front. T-38 amphibious tank. An improved version of the T-37, the T-38 featured better ergonomics and reliability while retaining the swimming capability. Still lightly armed and armored, it served primarily in reconnaissance roles. Most were lost in the catastrophic opening months of Operation Barbarossa. T-40 amphibious tank. The final Soviet amphibious light tank. The T-40 upgraded to a 20mm autocannon and offered slightly better armor protection. It could still ford rivers and lakes, making it useful for reconnaissance missions. However, it remained inadequate for combat against proper tanks and was phased out quickly. T-60 light tank. Born from desperation in late 1941, the T-60 was designed to be built quickly using automobile factories. Armed with a 20mm autocannon, it was cheap to produce and simple to operate, but hopelessly outmatched in tank combat. Soviet crews called it a metal coffin, though it was better than having no armor at all. T-70 light tank. An improvement over the T-60, the T-70 featured a 45mm gun and slightly better armor while remaining cheap and fast to manufacture. Its narrow, cramped design forced the commander to also serve as gunner and loader, severely limiting combat effectiveness. It became the basis for the Su-76 assault gun, which proved more successful. Armored cars and reconnaissance. Bay-10 armored car, the standard Soviet heavy armored car of the pre-war period, mounting the same 45mm gun as the T-26 tank in a fully rotating turret. Its six-wheel design offered good road speed, but struggled off-road. Most were destroyed in 1941, though their powerful armament made them effective tank hunters when used properly. Bay-64 light armored car. Based on the Gay-64 Jeep chassis, this small four-wheeled scout car featured sloped armor and an open-top turret with a machine gun. Highly reliable and agile, it became the workhorse of Soviet reconnaissance units. Its lightweight allowed it to navigate terrain that bogged down heavier vehicles. Bay-64B, an improved version with a wider rear track to prevent tipping during sharp turns, a problem that plagued the original B-64. The enhanced stability made it even more popular with reconnaissance troops. It served throughout the war and well into the Cold War era. FI armored car, a light armored car built on a Ford chassis, featuring thin armor and a small turret with a machine gun. Produced in the 1930s, it was obsolete by 1941, but saw service in the desperate early war period. Its automotive suspension limited off-road capability severely. Lend-Lease vehicles, M3 Lee Grant medium tank. American tanks supplied under Lend-Lease, featuring a 75mm gun in a hull sponson and a 37mm in the turret. Soviet crews disliked the high profile and unusual layout but appreciated the reliability. They nicknamed it a grave for seven brothers, due to the large crew and tendency to catch fire. M4 Sherman medium tank. Arriving in large numbers from 1943 onward, the Sherman was reliable, comfortable, and well-liked by Soviet tankers. Its 75mm gun was adequate, and the smooth ride was a luxury compared to cramped T-34s. Soviet crews appreciated the escape hatches and considered it safer than domestic tanks. Valentine infantry tank. British supplied tanks that Soviet forces used extensively in infantry support roles. Slow and undergunned with a 40mm weapon, it nonetheless featured thick armor and excellent reliability. Soviet tankers called it the husband for its dependability, using it primarily in secondary theaters. Matilda de Sick infantry tank. Another British heavy infantry tank supplied to the USSR, the Matilda's thick armor made it nearly invulnerable to early German anti-tank guns. Painfully slow and armed only with a 40mm gun, it excelled in breakthrough operations where speed didn't matter. Soviet crews valued its protection despite limited firepower. Universal carrier. British light-tracked vehicles used by Soviet forces for reconnaissance, supply, and infantry transport. Lightly armored and open-topped, they were vulnerable but highly mobile. Thousands were supplied, and they served effectively in supporting roles throughout the war. M3 Scout car. American four-wheeled armored personnel carriers that proved popular with Soviet reconnaissance units. Open-topped with light armor, they carried troops quickly across rough terrain. Their reliability and simplicity made them valuable despite vulnerability to shell fragments. Studebaker US-6 truck. Perhaps the most important Lend-Lease vehicle, this 2.5-ton truck became the backbone of Soviet logistics. Reliable, powerful, and capable of handling terrible roads, it kept supplies flowing to the front. It also served as the chassis for Katyusha rocket launchers, combining American engineering with Soviet firepower. Logistics and support vehicles. Gaz-DA truck. The Soviet copy of the Ford Model DAT. This light truck was the standard cargo vehicle of the pre-war Red Army. Simple and cheap to produce, it served throughout the war despite limited carrying capacity. Mechanical reliability varied wildly depending on manufacturing quality. Zidis-5 truck. A 3-ton cargo truck that became the workhorse of Soviet logistics. Recognizable by its rounded hood and cab. Produced in massive numbers, it hauled supplies, towed artillery, and transported troops across vast distances. Winter versions featured simplified wooden cabs to save metal for weapons production. Zidis-6 heavy truck. A larger 6-wheeled truck used for heavy cargo and as a platform for Katyusha rocket launchers. More complex than the Zidis-5, it offered greater carrying capacity for specialized roles. The extra axle improved off-road performance in the muddy conditions of the Eastern Front. Gaz-67 Jeep. The Soviet answer to the American Willys Jeep, the Gaz-67 featured 4-wheel drive and excellent off-road capability. Produced from 1943 onward, it served in reconnaissance liaison and light transport roles. Simpler and more rugged than its American inspiration, it became a symbol of Soviet mobility. Komsomolets tractor, a fully tracked artillery tractor designed to tow anti-tank guns and light howitzers. Its low profile and armored compartment for the crew offered protection while hauling weapons into forward positions. Thousands were produced, mechanizing Soviet anti-tank artillery units. STZ-5 artillery tractor, a heavy track tractor used for towing medium and heavy artillery pieces. Based on agricultural tractor designs, it was slow but powerful, capable of dragging heavy guns through mud and snow. Its reliability made it indispensable for artillery units. WWII Heavy Artillery Tractor, the largest Soviet artillery tractor, designed to tow the heaviest guns and howitzers. Its powerful diesel engine and wide tracks allowed it to operate in conditions that stopped wheeled vehicles completely, essential for keeping heavy artillery mobile during offensive operations. Serialized and experimental vehicles, KV-1S, a lightened version of the KV-1 heavy tank, sacrificing some armor for improved speed and reliability. The S stood for Skorochnoy, fast. Though it remained slower than medium tanks, it bridged the gap between the unreliable KV-1 and the later IS series with better performance. KV-85, a transitional heavy tank mounting the 85mm gun in an enlarged turret on the KV-1S chassis, only produced for a few months in 1943, before being replaced by the IS series. It represented Soviet attempts to improve firepower while developing the next generation of heavy tanks. T-34-57, a rare variant mounting the high-velocity 57mm ZIS-4 gun specifically designed for armor penetration. Produced in limited numbers, it could punch through German armor better than the standard 76mm. The gun's small explosive shell made it less versatile for infantry support, limiting production. T-44, an advanced medium tank introduced in late 1944 that incorporated lessons from the T-34. Featuring a lower profile, transverse engine, and improved armor layout, it arrived too late for significant combat. The design became the basis for the post-war T-54, one of history's most produced tanks. Su-76I, a makeshift tank destroyer created by mounting captured German 75mm guns on captured Panzer III chassis. Designated I for inostrany, foreign, only a few dozen were built from salvaged vehicles. They served effectively despite being cobbled together from enemy equipment. ZSU-37, an early self-propelled anti-aircraft gun, mounting a 37mm automatic cannon on a light tank chassis. Designed to provide mobile air defense for armored columns, it arrived too late to see significant wartime service. Its design influenced post-war Soviet anti-aircraft vehicles. NI tank, the NI-ISPUG, for fright, was a desperate improvisation during the siege of Leningrad, created by welding boilerplates onto tractors and trucks. Armed with machine guns and crewed by factory workers, these crude vehicles were more psychological weapons than combat-effective tanks. They demonstrated Soviet determination and improvisation under desperate circumstances. Antonov, A-40 flying tank. Perhaps the most ambitious Soviet experiment, this was an actual T-60 light tank fitted with biplane wings and tail for glider insertion. Tested once in 1942, the concept proved impractical when the towing aircraft couldn't generate enough lift. It remains one of history's most creative, if unsuccessful, military experiments.